morning. Today is another one of our first fives. Like many of you, I try to wrestle through what I do with the Old Testament. I try to understand it as best that I can. I try to read it. I try to put it in its proper perspective. But I sometimes have to remember it's an ancient document. I mean, the New Testament's ancient, but the Old Testament is really ancient. I also have to remember that Jesus fulfilled that old covenant. It's fulfilled, the Mosaic or the Abraham covenant, both are fulfilled in the person of Jesus. Doesn't negate lots of what we learn, but I also think it's fitting that Paul, who knew the Old Testament better than any of us, Paul, who had it memorized probably word for word, and could also tell you what other scholars said about all those various texts from the law and the prophets. I love what Paul writes here in Romans 13, verses 8 to 10. Here's what he says. Let no debt remain outstanding, except the continuing debt to love one another. For he who loves his fellow man has fulfilled the law. The commandments: do not commit adultery, do not murder, do not steal, do not covet, and whatever other commandment there may be are summed up in this one rule: love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no harm to its neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfillment of the law. Now, I got to be honest with you. This 3-verse section that Paul writes, when you take it in light of the words of Jesus, is one of the most significant passages in all of the Bible. Did you catch that? How do you fulfill the law? Love. Love is the fulfillment of the law. Love does no harm to anyone else. But what about the commandments? Well, here's the thing. If you love, if you're living from the place of love, you'll follow the commandments. You really will. You're not going to forsake God and choose other idols. You're going to take care of yourself because that's what love looks like. You're going to care for the other. You're not going to covet. You're not going to steal. You're not going to commit adultery. You're not going to do all these other things that we find in the commandments. What you're going to do is you're going to choose to live a life of love. But I got to be honest with you. I think sometimes I might take the rules. Because love requires me to live in a particular way. Love requires me to live doing to others what I would want done to me. I mean, that's what it says. In fact, what Paul says is this: love your neighbor as yourself. Not don't do what you don't want done, but love your neighbor as you love yourself. So if you wouldn't want it done to you, don't do it to someone else. That's pretty easy to do most of the time. But what he says is beyond that. Love is an action, an activity, a work, something we do. We're to love the other person as we love ourselves, or as we wish we were to be loved, right? This is what Paul's saying. This fulfills the law. You know how you fulfill the law? It's not by keeping every letter of the law. It's not by all kinds of sacrifices. It's by living from a place of radical love that we see in the person of Jesus. What we see in Jesus' death and resurrection is so powerful. We see that evil itself throws everything it has at Jesus, which leads to his death on the cross. But the best that evil has is not enough to overcome the love of God. Because in the end, love wins. Period. Love wins. So the challenge for you and I is to live this day, because we already know the outcome of this, that love wins. So may you and I live as a people who live from love. We'll catch you next time for another First Five.